Have you ever noticed something strange? You tell yourself you're fine, but your shoulders feel like stone. You tell yourself you're managing, but your stomach feels unsettled. You tell yourself nothing is wrong, but you can't seem to sleep properly. You tell yourself you're handling everything, but small things suddenly irritate you. You tell yourself you're okay, yet you are exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't seem to fix. And then one day someone asks, "Are you stressed?" And your immediate response is no. Because in your mind, stress looks dramatic. Stress looks like a breakdown. Stress looks like panic. Stress looks like crisis. Stress looks like falling apart. But what if stress often starts much earlier than that? What if stress begins showing up in the body before it becomes obvious in the mind? What if your body has been trying to get your attention long before you found the words for what you are carrying? I think one of the most fascinating things about being human is that the body and mind are constantly communicating. The problem is that many of us have become fluent in productivity and almost completely disconnected from listening. We know how to push. We know how to continue. We know how to perform. We know how to keep going. But many people no longer know how to notice. And because they don't notice, the body often ends up carrying messages the mind has not yet acknowledged. Let's start with something simple. Tension. Almost everyone has experienced it. The tight shoulders, the clenched jaw, the stiff neck, the constant feeling of holding something. What's interesting is that many people become so accustomed to tension that they stop noticing it. It becomes normal. Their shoulders stay elevated for so long that relaxation feels unusual. Their jaw remains tight for so long that release feels unfamiliar. The body begins holding stress automatically, not because the person consciously chooses it, because carrying becomes the default setting. Think about that. How many people are walking through life physically brazen without realizing it? Preparing, managing, anticipating, holding, as if the body is constantly waiting for the next demand. The body often knows something is happening before the conscious mind catches up. Now, let's talk about digestion. Without getting medical or diagnostic, have you ever noticed how life circumstances can affect how comfortable your body feels? A difficult conversation, a stressful season, a major transition, an uncertain situation, and suddenly the stomach feels different. Appetite changes, comfort changes, patterns change. This is something many people overlook. They separate life from body, as if the body exists independently from experience. But human beings are integrated. We experience life as whole people, not separate parts. When pressure accumulates, the body often participates in the conversation, not because something is necessarily wrong, because the body is paying attention. The challenge is that many people only listen once discomfort becomes impossible to ignore. The whispers get overlooked until they become louder. Let's talk about sleep. One of the most common experiences people describe is this: I'm tired, but I can't seem to rest. Or I slept, but I don't feel restored. Or my body is exhausted, but my mind won't slow down. Have you ever experienced that? You finally get into bed. The day is over. The responsibilities are finished. The meetings are done. The children are asleep. The house is quiet. And suddenly, your mind decides now is the perfect time to review everything. Conversations, problems, responsibilities, possibilities, mistakes, future concerns, unfinished tasks. Everything appears at once. The body is asking for recovery. The mind is still running. Many people think rest begins when they stop moving. Not always. Sometimes recovery begins when the internal activity slows down. And for many people, that slowing down has become increasingly difficult. Not because they are broken, because their system has become accustomed to constant activation. Let's talk about cravings. This is another interesting signal people often overlook. Again, not a medical conversation, just a human one. Have you ever noticed how certain seasons create stronger urges for comfort foods, comfort habits, comfort distractions, comfort routines? When life feels demanding, uncertain, overwhelming, or emotionally heavy, many people naturally begin looking for relief. The body and mind both seek comfort. The challenge is that people often judge themselves for the craving without becoming curious about the context. Instead of asking, what am I needing right now? They ask, why am I so weak? Those are very different questions. One produces shame, the other produces awareness. And awareness is usually far more helpful because sometimes the craving is not really about the thing itself. Sometimes it is about relief. Sometimes it is about soothing. Sometimes it is about comfort. Sometimes it is about a system looking for a moment of ease. Now, let's discuss irritability, one of the most misunderstood signals. Many people think irritability means they are becoming a bad person, less patient, less kind, less mature. But often, irritability is information. Think about your phone battery. As the battery drains, performance changes. The phone becomes slower, less responsive, more limited. Human beings are not machines, but the principle is similar. When people are carrying too much for too long, patience often becomes harder to access. Small inconveniences feel bigger. Minor frustrations feel heavier. Simple requests feel overwhelming. Not because the person suddenly changed, because capacity has been reduced. One of the questions worth asking during irritable seasons is not, what is wrong with me? But what has been draining me? That question often reveals far more. Now, let's talk about fatigue. Not ordinary tiredness. The kind of fatigue that follows people everywhere. The kind that remains after weekends. The kind that remains after sleep. The kind that feels deeper than physical exertion. Many people assume fatigue means they need to push harder, become more disciplined, become more productive, become more resilient. Sometimes that isn't what the body is asking for at all. Sometimes fatigue is information that recovery has been missing, information that the demands have exceeded the restoration, information that something in life has been requiring more energy than it has been returning. One of the challenges of modern life is that people often celebrate outputs while ignoring recovery. Productivity gets rewarded, restoration gets postponed, achievement gets noticed, recovery gets overlooked. Yet, recovery is what makes sustainable achievement possible. Without recovery, every strong people eventually become depleted. Now, here's something I find interesting. Many people become incredibly skilled at functioning while disconnected from themselves. They wake up, work, respond, care for others, meet obligations, handle responsibilities, solve problems, move through the day. And because everything gets done, they assume everything is fine. But functioning and flourishing are not the same thing. Functioning means the system still works. Flourishing means the system is supported. Those are very different realities. Some people are functioning beautifully while quietly becoming exhausted. The outside looks successful. The inside feels stretched. The outside looks capable. The inside feels overloaded. The outside looks calm. The inside feels constantly activated. This is why awareness matters. Not because every signal means something is wrong, because signals deserve attention. Imagine driving a car. A dashboard light appears. The purpose of the light is not panic. The purpose of the light is awareness, information, feedback, an invitation to pay attention. The body often works in a similar way. Tension, fatigue, irritability, sleep changes, digestive discomforts, cravings. These experiences are not necessarily enemies. Sometimes they are messengers, not delivering panic, delivering information. And information can be useful if we are willing to listen. Now, let's go deeper. One reason people miss these signals is because modern life often rewards disconnection. People are praised for pushing through, praised for ignoring exhaustion, praised for carrying everything, praised for never stopping, praised for being available, praised for enduring. And while resilience is valuable, constant override comes with a cost. If every signal is ignored, eventually the system has to communicate more loudly. Not because it is failing, because it is trying to help. One of the most compassionate skills a person can develop is learning to notice earlier. Noticing before depletion, noticing before overwhelm, noticing before collapse, noticing before resentment, noticing before burnout becomes the only language left. Awareness creates options. The earlier we notice, the more gently we can respond. Now, let me be clear. This conversation is not about becoming hyper-focused on every sensation. It is not about assuming every discomfort means something serious. It is about becoming more connected, more aware, more curious, more willing to listen. Because many people have spent years treating their bodies like machines. Machines that should perform, machines that should produce, machines that should keep going regardless of circumstances. But human beings are not machines. Human beings require rhythms, recovery, support, restoration, connection, margins, breathing room. And when those things are absent, the body often begins communicating. Sometimes quietly, sometimes persistently, always worth noticing. Before we finish, I want to offer a simple reflection. The next time you notice tension, the next time you feel unusually tired, the next time irritability shows up, the next time sleep feels difficult, the next time your body seems to be asking for something you cannot quite name, pause before judging yourself. Pause before criticizing yourself. Pause before pushing harder. And ask a different question. What might my body be trying to tell me? Not with fear, with curiosity. Because your body is not your enemy. Your body is not trying to sabotage you. Your body is constantly participating in the story of your life. And sometimes it notices things before the conscious mind does. Perhaps that is why so many people look back and realize something important. The signals were there. The tension was there. The fatigue was there. The irritability was there. The discomfort was there. The body knew first, not to create fear, not to create panic, but to invite attention, to invite awareness, to invite a return to rhythms that restore, a return to habits that support, a return to listening, a return to living in partnership with the body rather than constantly overriding it. Because sometimes the most important message is not the one shouted loudly. Sometimes the most important message is the one whispered repeatedly until we finally slow down enough to hear it. And often, long before we call it stress, the body already has. See you soon.